is going on, everybody? How you doing this afternoon? Welcome to the channel. This is United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and United lost 1-0 to Everton at home to welcome back Premier League football after yet another international break. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm quite glad that I had stuff going on yesterday immediately after the final whistle that kept me from doing a same day match reaction because internet was not a great place to be as a United fan yesterday. Hopefully you guys are still in the mood to discuss the match, but yesterday the social media, YouTube, Twitter, all of it was pretty negative, pretty knee jerk if I'm going to be honest. Little embarrassing if I got to be completely honest with what I saw. It's just reaction. It's knee jerk. It's reaction. Period. That's what it was. And I'm not trying to come across as like high and mighty because I don't think that of myself, but I think we all know the kinds of fans we're talking about when I say that. Yes, the performance was shit. Yes, the result was shit. But to see so many raging and to see the usual, YouTube suspects kind of rage baiting with a lot of their thumbnails and whatnot, and rage farming, I guess, is, it's all just, telling us why Amorim's a shit coach, calling for his job again. Like that kind of stuff to me is ridiculous. Imagine doing that after, one loss after, a 5-match unbeaten run, and manager of the month for Amorim. Like, I'm not saying like he's the greatest manager ever. I'm not saying he's without fault. I'm not saying he should be able to walk away with impunity from any sort of criticism or anything. But I think it's just over the top with some of it. And so if that's your thing, if that's what you're looking for, you're in the wrong place because you guys know I don't do that. But we are going to go through some of the individual performances, look at some of the numbers on the night, maybe what you guys would have done differently. Like maybe if you guys are in the mood, we could do player ratings. You guys let me know if player ratings are something you want to do tonight. We don't have to do them, but it's usually what I do immediately after. And like I said, wasn't around yesterday for it because I had stuff going on. So if something you still want to do, we can do that. I've also got my 3 takeaways. You guys know I've got 3 takeaways that I'll share with you as always. So we're going to dive into that, of course. So please subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We are on the road to 3K as promised. If we get there before Christmas, before Dylan and I go to Manchester to get a couple matches in, we'll do a giveaway, and the winner of the giveaway get something from the mega store, whatever they want. I'll go and get it from within reason. Don't ask me to go get like a George Best autographed jersey that costs $8,000. I'm not doing that, but keep it within reason. Yes, check those memberships too. You guys know that starting 11 Legends members can get access to the WhatsApp group. It's pretty active, the WhatsApp group. Dylan's popped in there recently too, so everybody's having a good chat. It's a lot of sharing tweets, sharing memes, and discussing things. So it's pretty fun though, if you guys want to keep the conversation rolling outside of the live streams. And then always go check out the United vs. Everybody store. Some new designs just dropped this past week or so. There is a link pinned to the chat. I've got a poll going in the chat too, so make sure you share your thoughts on the match as well as we get going. So first and foremost, you guys know I always want to see who is in the chat, who is active. We got Lucky in the house. Big up, Lucky. Hope you're doing well. He's giving us this tag. Yes, I agree. Mentality and focus just not great yesterday. We're going to talk all sorts of stuff too. So Danny B's in the house. Big up, Danny. Hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you again. Yes, please hit that like button and subscribe. What are you saying here? Danny says, we are conning ourselves thinking this squad and tactics can compete in top 4. Just didn't want to be too negative last few weeks. I always said this is a mid-table squad. Well, I agree and I disagree to some extent. And I'll tell you why. I do think that we're not there yet, right? We're not there yet. Yes, mathematically we could have gone 4th, but that's not to say that we're a top 4 side, if that makes sense. And I've never thought that. I'm not yet. We still got a lot of work to do. We're going to talk about some of the work we still have to do because I think yesterday showed us that the drop off in quality when you've got to make some substitutions is just not there. And I think that when you've signed 3 attackers and 2 of them are injured and not fit, and you saw the drop off, I think that's clear as well. So I think that we're on a right trajectory. Danny's on one. That's all right, Danny. It's all good, man. But we're definitely not the finished article yet. I do think there were some signs, some positive signs, some signs of progress over that 5-match run. I think that we've talked about it many times, and a lot of us have been pretty positive during that. Some of the changes. The problem was, I think yesterday showed that it's too easy, and this goes for people in general, not just footballers and everything. If you want to get super heady with it, it's super easy for people to revert to type, for people to retreat back to the familiar behavior, even in this case, the negative stuff when things get hard or whatever, when they get tired. I thought yesterday from the off, it didn't look like we were up for it, and we paid for it, and that's just what it is. So, but I hear you. I totally hear you, man. But hopefully everyone's doing well. You guys let me know what's going on. For any of you guys living in the US, are you guys doing anything for Thanksgiving? It is Thanksgiving on Thursday. Today's only Tuesday, but for some people, their Thanksgiving holiday week starts right now. Danny says the game was crying out for Lacey. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I've got thoughts. I put out that short yesterday on my way home from I was hanging out with Dylan. We went to a pub and watched it. And I only get 3 minutes with a short, so there was some things I wanted to say, but I didn't say yesterday because I was kind of going off a stream of consciousness thing. But I've got a lot more to talk about today. So let's dive in. How about we start with a little bit of positive? This comes from courtesy of Dylan, who sent me this. Let's start with a positive laugh at Liverpool moment. I don't know if you guys saw this. So he sent me this, Dylan. So appreciate Dylan. Big up. He says, he showed me this little tweet. Apparently someone said, I can't wait for Sky Sports to do a top 11 table tomorrow. And then it turns out Sky Sports actually did a top 11 table so we can make sure to get Liverpool squeezed in there at the very bottom. Oh, Sky Sports. Never stop, never stopping. Yeah, it's just God forbid we don't give Liverpool a little bit of a shout out there. I can't believe that they did that. I can believe that they did that, but at the same time, it's just like, how transparent can you get? Like, seriously. Oh boy. So yeah, Sky just doing their thing to make sure people always just wipe Liverpool's ass for them personally. But let's talk a little news first before we get into the super nitty gritty stuff, because I know everybody's always wanting to talk about some news first. Trying to prolong the inevitable, if that makes sense. I'm trying to figure out the best way to make that. There we go. We'll do that. How's this sound? This looks better. Moving on to some news. We are strengthening our recruitment department, according to David Ornstein. So David Ornstein put this out, and I can't remember now off the top of my head if the club has done an official announcement or not. But here's what David Ornstein, Laura Whitwell, these guys at The Athletic have said. That United are strengthening the recruitment operation by appointing Kyle McCauley as head of senior scouting. 39-year-old, way to make me feel old, buddy, and kind of useless. He joins United after spells at West Ham, Chelsea, Brighton. Well-regarded Scott will report to Christopher Vivell. So Christopher Vivell's got himself a little sidekick. I don't have a problem with that. He was head of recruitment actually under Graham Potter at Ostersunds, and he was regarded so highly by Graham Potter that Potter brought him with him to Swansea. He also brought him to Brighton. He brought him to Chelsea. And then he brought him to West Ham. Sort of a waste going to Chelsea with the way that they're doing things. But it sounds like Graham Potter at least really highly rates this guy. Like I said, it wasn't just he's working at these clubs. It's that he was working closely with Graham Potter at all these clubs, even as far back as Ostersunds. So mad respect there. I've been saying for years now, I'd like to poach some of like Brighton's recruitment staff. And now we have sort of, I guess. I'm going to count it though, because he was at Brighton. But I like that we're doing this. The problem is it's like, and I know some of you are going to put this out there like PR because it's after a loss and they're announcing this. I get that spin. Let's just take it at what it is right now and react to it. Let me know what you think about the news that we're strengthening. Let me know if this guy, do you trust this guy? He's worked with Graham Potter pretty much. He's basically the Nemanja Matic to Graham Potter's Jose Mourinho at this point. But I don't have a problem with boosting the recruitment staff, getting quality people in. But at the end of the day, we can't just focus on young players. We have to make sure we're also getting players that are first team ready. There's a good balance in there someplace. The class of 92 had guys like Steve Bruce and Robbo and everybody in there. Cantona, Kino. Kino was kind of younger, but so let me know if anybody knows anything about this guy. Anybody have any other thoughts to add? I thought I would just let you guys know what was going on because we are making changes. Speaking of scouting, by the way, we've been linked to another young player. This time it is 19-year-old RB Leipzig midfielder Hassan Ouedraogo. This is coming from Florian Plettenberg. He says Premier League sides are crazy about Hassan Ouedraogo ahead of the next summer. Is this what people say though? Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to derail this, but it's interesting because I don't know if it's just me thing or like an American thing or what, but like when people say next summer, I think not this coming summer. I think the summer after that. But they're referring to this coming summer. So for me, because it is the summer that is next in line, to me, it is this summer. Next summer to me is like a year and a half from now, not 6 months from now. I don't know. I see this a lot in a lot of the journalists and stuff from the UK and whatnot, and it always confused me when people say that. I look at this summer as this summer, next summer is a year and a half from now. But anyway, but Play Goal claims United and Chelsea are already scouting this kid. So you all let me know if you've watched a whole lot of RB Leipzig. I have not. Admittedly have not watched a ton of Leipzig this season. Personally, I haven't watched a ton of Bundesliga football this season, quite frankly. But these 19-year-old midfielder doing very well for Leipzig. Apparently, he's got 3 goals, 4 assists from midfield in all comps. He's playing as an 8. They have like a 3 system, so I think Seawald is playing as the 6, and they've got another midfielder. I can't remember the other midfielder's name off the top of my head. But he's multiple man of the matches this season, whether you're looking at like SofaScore or whatnot. He's 9th right now in the league for big chances created. Basically, he's a ball progression like 8. He's getting that ball up the pitch. If you look at his percentiles for ball progression, they're like elite. He's chance creating 8. He's kind of like maybe what like Szoboszlai was doing at Liverpool last year a little bit. He's definitely more as an attacking 8, but problem is like we have a lot of these pro. I mean, this is kind of like what Kobe does. If you watch what Kobe did in his cameo yesterday, it's basically what he does. He gets that ball, or like maybe what you see like McTominay doing at Napoli a little bit. This kind of ball progressing, get that ball in an advanced position, get it up the pitch, create opportunities. Again, we have a lot of these players, and we have academy players I think that can do this as well, and like the Fletchers and whatnot. Even Biancheri, Bragamov can do this kind of stuff. Obviously, Bragamov's a little young, but you get one point. And the other issue with this kid is he's got some very, very, very serious hamstring issues. He has missed a ton of matches in the last couple of years with some various hamstring, muscle, ankle injuries. And so you guys know how I feel about injury-prone players when it comes to stuff like that. Now, and everyone's going to be like, Sean, you like Licha. Licha, to me, is not injury-prone. We talked about this. He's got contact injuries. Yes, they're serious. And yes, the ACL. The ACL is a big worry, but we'll see. He could be back. He was on the bench yesterday. And so Danny says, all set then, don't want him. Yeah, I'm avoiding injury-prone players like the plague these days. Not going to happen for me. But hey, it is what it is. Never say never, but at the same time, it's just a dice that I don't want to roll anymore. I'm just done with it. I'm just done with injury-prone players. But yeah, Jan Diamandi is another good one. Leipzig do have some good players. Remember, they weren't in Europe this year. I included Seawald in my bargain signings stream last spring going into the summer. A lot of that had to do with, again, similar to like the January stuff, like players who maybe weren't in Europe, players who were entering the final year of their contract, things like that. So always keep on the lookout for those kind of videos because they are fun to do. But in any case, I'm all set with another injury-prone player. I am just past it. So you guys let me know what you think about some of these Leipzig players. I'm not entirely sold on another injury-prone player, and then let me know too if you guys want to do player ratings, because otherwise I'm just going to skip right over the player ratings and kind of talk about some of the individuals in and of themselves, because in most of the cases, to me, it wasn't that there were a ton of players yesterday at United who were like glaringly poor, but some of them just didn't really have a lot to do. Like, I don't know. You guys let me know. I'll do the player ratings if you want to go through it, but I'll leave it up to you guys. But so going into this match, team selection, tactics wise, I don't know what happened to Matheus Cunha, but I mean, him missing could not have come at a worse time, in my opinion. He was absolutely god awful. I don't understand. I know someone said it was a head injury or something, I don't know, in training, and then he missed some event down in Manchester. I thought maybe he just didn't want to go, and they were playing up the head injury, or I don't know, maybe had a migraine or something. I don't know. I'm not really big into Christmas lights and stuff, so I get it. And then maybe part of it is like there's a head injury. People forget that there's concussion protocol. And so if sometimes something happens to the head, you're kind of forced to miss a match or something. That's what happens. If you go off the pitch because of a concussion, because you're a concussion sub, I think it's mandatory that you miss the next match. And so there are things like that. So again, I haven't seen anything. If someone else has seen something about what exactly is going on with Cunha, let me know. But it was not a good time for him to miss, because I think we definitely missed some of his just ball carrying, some of his energy, some of his willingness to make runs in and around the opposition third. But what Amorim ended up going with was ultimately what I kind of went with in the match preview, aside from Zirkzee for Cunha, because it's almost our strongest 11 side apart from Cunha and Šeško if you look at it on paper. I was happy with Mizraoui and Dorgu at wingback. I thought going into that match, I wanted some more defending. Obviously, things changed, not only when Everton went down to 10 men, but then when they scored that goal and they just went like full on David Moyes side. We'll talk more about that. But Ahmad started out the night on the left side. Mbeumo started on the right, which I didn't really like, to be honest, but because I just didn't see a needed change from what worked against Spurs. I thought they both did really well. Obviously, Mbeumo got a goal and Ahmad got an assist against Spurs. I didn't really see the need to change. And you can argue maybe like Ahmad on the left, maybe putting in left, but we didn't have like that profile as striker, and so I didn't really see the point. But you guys, let me know what you thought about the starting 11. All right, Danny, we won't do the ratings. You guys, I usually do the ratings the day of the match after, but today is kind of combining both videos. So yeah, you guys let me know what you liked about the starting 11, what you did not like about the starting 11. I think the highlight for me was seeing Licha on the bench, Lacey on the bench. Those are pretty good. Big up, Box. Good to see you. It's been a minute, Box. Hope you're doing well, man. Hope you are doing well. So as far as performance goes, we never fell below 63% possession on the night. We averaged, in fact, 70% possession. It was like 63% in the first half, like 76% in the second half. So you average those out. But again, like we saw in the Louis van Gaal, possession doesn't really matter if you don't do anything with it. We made 547 passes. They only played 189. We had 50 touches in their box. Hold on a second. Let me make sure you heard these right. 50 touches in their box. 9 corners, 25 shots, just 6 shots on target. That's abysmal. That's inexcusable. That's unacceptable. That is embarrassing. That is disgraceful. Our XG skyrocketed in the second half, and a lot of people were looking at that, but it's only skyrocketed because Everton were happy just to sit back and let us shoot. They were conceding corners. They were really confident in their ability to not let anything get past. And the way we were putting so many wild shots off target, we had opportunities to level that up, and shots were just going off target. Like, it was embarrassing. And then, to be fair, Pickford decided to have an absolute whirly whenever he was called upon, getting fingertips here and there. Like, you almost felt like we could play another 30 minutes and it wouldn't have mattered. We just weren't going to find a way to break that down. Now, I said in the preview that Everton were going to make it difficult for our attackers. They are very good at doing that, making themselves hard to break down. And I said we needed to put away our chances, and we did not do it. They don't give you a ton of clear-cut opportunities. It's up to us to really capitalize on. We've got players who should and could do that, and they just didn't on the night. 25 shots, 50 touches in the box, and no goals at home against Everton. No disrespect. That's just not acceptable. I'm not having that whatsoever. What are you guys saying here in the chat? Hold on, let me scroll back up. Box says one of the worst games I've ever seen. Yeah, it was. And I put the poll out. You guys can let me know what you guys think. Was the result kind of a one-off blip? Was it just bad, after maybe international break? Was it the fact that maybe our unbeaten run sort of flattered us, maybe a little bit of, papering over cracks? Or is this just kind of the normal season of Premier League football going in swings and roundabouts? You guys vote in the poll. Let me know where you're at. I'll check back in with that a little later on. Look at the individual performance. Who had a good game? Who stood out to you? Did anybody have? It's easier just to list the players. At least it's like quicker just to list the players who did have a good game. You guys get your thoughts in real quick. I'm going to jump back into this one. Box says, I felt Everton were the better team first 15 minutes. Yeah, I know Gary Neville kind of said the same thing. I kind of agree with Stehausen. I don't know if you guys watched any of Stehausen's channel, but I agree with kind of what he said. I don't think it was necessarily that Everton were just like good. I think that we're just bad yesterday. Like, we just did not ever get out of like first gear. We were so slow. We were second best to literally everything. I don't recall us winning a single second ball. We were passing the ball out of touch, just under zero pressure. We were making Euro had a shocker. Like Euro had an absolute shocker. I thought Casemiro was the worst. He was like Casemiro has like two sides to that coin where he can play like he was playing before the break, but then yesterday is kind of like what we see from that's the other side of that coin. Just looks every single bit of what the 32, 33 that he is. And yesterday he definitely looked like too many matches under his belt. Xerxes, obviously, we'll talk about Xerxes a little bit later. And Mbeumo, I thought, was a bit toothless. You could tell he was getting frustrated. He looked a bit isolated. I didn't think it made any sense, like, to just have one attacker in Xerxes trying to basically against 5 defenders the whole match. Bruno, I thought, was just doing Bruno things. There were times where he was running up into like the right wing to try to chase down the ball and stuff. I think that it was, again, reverting to type, like I said earlier, kind of just the worst aspects of some of these individuals was all on show. And I've said many times, you can get by if 1 or 2 players have a poor match, but you can't when 6, 7, 8 players all kind of just shit the bed. It's just not good. Not good at all. Danny says could have played for 3 hours. Yeah, I mean, that's the way, like, Moisey is silently like a Timu version of Jose Mourinho, where if they get by with a 0-0 against a top side because they sat back and parked the bus, he's happy. But yeah, Moisey yesterday, I wouldn't doubt if, Moises got a daughter or son in 9 months from now, the way he was celebrating that 1-0 win against United, man, the way they did it, dude. Box says Spurs always also started fast. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just we start games switched off sometimes, man. The way we started the match yesterday was like the way we started the second half against Forest and Spurs. It was embarrassing, dude. Let's see. Box says nobody stood out. Yeah. Box says Shesko to Xerxes is a big downgrade. Yeah, it was. We're going to talk a little bit more about Xerxes. Well, Danny says sell Xerxes ASAP. Dorgu, yeah. I didn't think. Here's the thing about Dorgu. I don't think Dorgu is bad. He's young. I love his effort. I love his work rate. I love his ability to get forward. I love his physicality, his energy. But the problem with Dorgu is that a game like yesterday, when the opposition is just happy to let you have the ball, he doesn't really offer as much as maybe like prime Luke Shaw or something on that left-hand side. It's kind of like having Rashford or Garnacho on the pitch against like Spurs in that final when they scored and they were just happy to sit back. It's a waste of all the best attributes of Dorgu to go up there. So we made the changes. I just don't think, again, this is what I meant when you have to make subs, because Dalot doesn't really do much either. And he almost does worse because he's not naturally left-footed. So Dalot is actually slowing things down, even though you think, oh, maybe he's better on the ball. Not when he's got to pull Ashley Young over and over again and cut in onto his right. He's actually wasting time. Honestly, I think that, in my humble opinion, I think that Ahmad was probably our best player on the night. I thought he was beating defenders left and right. He was putting the ball on a plate for his teammates. You could see that he was getting very, very, very frustrated on the night. He was taking on everybody, and he looked like the most capable of doing something. He completed the most take-ons on the night. He created the most chances of any player on the night as well. And again, like I said, he was getting frustrated with his teammates, and I don't blame him. If I had to pick I don't do man of the match on a loss, but if like say we pulled back a draw, I probably would go with Ahmad, because he's the one who every time he got the ball, I was like, all right, here we can maybe do something here. But yeah, Ahmad probably can hold his head up a little higher than anyone else, but it's fine margins on that one if you guys really want to split hairs. Amorim, I don't know what you guys think of Amorim. I think, yeah, he is the only one that tried to show up. I feel for Amorim a little bit, if I'm being honest, just simply because, again, those lack of options. I think that when you've got a complete lack of options to work with, I think that you're limited in what you can do and how you can adjust to the state of the game, how you can respond to, going down a goal and then playing against a park the bus team. And like, your options are super limited. And everyone's like, well, you spent this much. Yeah, 2 of those players are injured. Maguire's injured, or maybe I can't remember if he's on the bench or not, but Maguire could have been maybe someone when we were putting all those balls in the box who could have made a difference. I feel for him too when it comes to just the individual effort from the players on the pitch, because like you guys are saying, Ahmad's the only one that showed up. Like, no, it's not Amorim's fault that Yoro is just passing a ball straight to an Everton player. It's not Amorim's fault that Casemiro and Xerxes are just passing the ball right out of touch. Like, it's not their fault that Mbeumo gets a clear cut opportunity and lashes it wide, or Mount fluffs his lines or something. It's not Amorim's fault that shit's happening. But I think there's arguably some things that I think Amorim could have done to maybe get a little bit more out of us, maybe put us in a better position. Maybe I think for instance, if the slow build up from the back was tactical, that's on Amorim. But if that was a player's like just tired or players not confident, like I thought that about Dorgu sometimes. I felt like it was a little too slow. We'll talk more about that shortly. But if it was tactical, like, hey, slow things down, let's work it out from the back. If that's his fault, that's a problem, because that's not the situation that you want to take that approach with. I don't know if it was wise to bring on Mount and keep Xerxes on and have them both play as target men, because neither of them are target men. I would have liked to have seen more movement in the final third, more passing in the final third, kind of like what you see from like Arsenal and whatnot. Let's get some runners. Let's get some good, intricate ball playing. Get Kobe higher up, get Bruno higher up, to get some runners in and around and maybe just cause a little confusion. They were down to 10 men. We missed a trick not taking advantage of that by putting another body higher up, in my opinion. And if you're going to put crosses into the box, like if that was the plan, like not to have more movement, just spam crosses, if that was your plan, then put Shaw up to left back instead of bringing on Dalot, and maybe bring on Shea Lacey to bring a bit of that energy, that precociousness, that fearlessness that you're going to get from young players. I think maybe that could have and should have made a difference. But I do wonder if Amorim is just a little bit risk averse in that regard. Maybe if he's just not willing to roll the dice. I know that he has said you don't want to bring young players into these situations, but I feel like one of Ten Hag's biggest detriments was not taking risks on the young players. Now he put in Kobe, he brought in Garnacho, but I think that letting go of someone like Alvaro and whatnot is a problem. And I do think it comes back to the fact that I don't know if Amorim really trusts his bench, quite honestly. I just don't know. He's hesitant to make wholesale subs. It's usually like for defense or something, and it's just, I don't know, it's uninspiring. But again, I do feel for him in the regard that we don't have a lot of players, unfortunately. So I almost feel like in some ways tactics went out the window a little bit last night, against a park the bus side. What else can you do other than, either cross or try to get movement? And again, we don't have the players for either, unfortunately, on the night. It would have been great to see Shesko on the end of some of those crosses rather than Xerxes, but this is what it is. So I thought maybe I wouldn't have seen the need for three center backs on the pitch again, too, when it became clear that Everton were just going to sort of sit back a little bit. Personally, I didn't think that was necessary. Again, I just think we missed a chance to create some overloads because three defenders marking nobody when I thought another body up front, I thought that could have made a difference. Wrong-footed wingbacks on both sides probably didn't help either. Again, just that second delay of putting the ball in the box just didn't really help. You just opportunities, I thought, just to change things in the moment. They don't have to be permanent wholesale changes that you're going to see forever. But again, when you've got a situation going on, you're against a park the buck side, you can't do your slow buildup. You don't need to have three defenders. Like, they weren't really trying to get forward. So I just didn't get it. Again, I think he seems a bit risk averse. But again, rolling the dice on someone like Lacey, I think could have helped Amorim a little bit. I think more fans would probably be willing to accept a poor result if you brought on some youngsters and played a little bit more with a little bit more courage and a little bit more daring. But alas and alack, right? I think it's a little too late there. But it doesn't seem like my streaming platform is showing the your guys' comments and as they populate anymore. I can see them on one screen. I do not see them over here. So if I don't see that, let me know what you got. I can read them over here though. So let me scroll. Let me pop up over here real quick. See what you guys are saying. Danny says, no, it wasn't wise. Xerxes should have been hooked after 55 minutes and not for Mount. I would have put on Manu or Lacey. Yeah. You guys are so sad right now. Box says, I thought 4 points this week versus Everton and Palace will probably be 0 out of 6. Danny says all players were behind Bruno, 3 or 4 at least behind him playing to Everton's game plan. Yeah, I think that was another thing I had a problem with. But let me share my 3 thoughts with you guys because I've got thoughts. I know you guys have thoughts. Let me start with thought number 1. It was a little slow and sloppy. And I mean, seems a bit of an easy thought to start off with, but again, I just call it like I see it. It was obvious from the off that United were just a step off it. We looked tired. We looked switched off from the opening whistle. Too slow to move the ball. I mean, again, I don't know if that was a tactical thing or maybe just an individual like lack of confidence in 1v1s from some of these players, but I did not like what I saw. It felt forced. It felt like our slow buildup. It felt like that was the plan at times. Like we would get the ball wide, and it was like we had Anthony back in the side. We'd get that ball wide to Amad Dorgu, and instead of them maybe just getting their head down and trying to take on a man, they just stopped. And it was like, where's Bruno? Where's Bruno? Let's find Bruno. Let's go give it to Bruno and let him just hoof it. Like, it did not make sense. When I've said time and time again, you need to get the ball wide. You need to get it up the pitch. You need to get it. You need to move faster. It's one of the things I've complained about with Amorim for a long time. Dorgu, again, did not look confident. I felt like there were opportunities where he could have put that ball into space, kind of like Marcus Rashford does, get his head down and just book it. But he just wasn't. He was just like slowing down. Like, I don't know. Again, was that tactical from you guys? Was that just a confidence thing? Because the problem is you cannot give a David Moyes side time to get back. And against a 10-man David Moyes side, it's even worse. It's almost better for them because now they're just like, this is all we're going to do. And what do you guys make of that sending off anyway? What did you guys think of that whole red card situation? I know Bill had texted me during the game and it was like, and he said he doesn't think that you should get red carded for hitting your own teammate. And me being the tribal asshole that I am, I'm like, it's not my team, not my problem. I don't care. But again, if you look at the laws of the game, you're not allowed to strike anybody in the face, no matter who it is. And so it doesn't matter if you're on team. And we've seen players get sent off in the past. I don't know if you guys remember. I want to say it was like 2014 World Cup. Was it Alex Song? I can't remember who it was. I think it was Alex Song, like elbowed one of his own teammates or something in like a World Cup match or something and got sent off. Like, it happens. You're not allowed to do that no matter who it is. I don't care if you're your own coach or your own physio, you're not allowed to just hit somebody in the face. So I get it. It's the law, but it is pretty stupid. Danny says, yeah, way too slow, sloppy, and hesitant. Like, was that tactical though, Danny? Do you think that the players were just like tired and just not, and maybe in being tired, just not confident in their ability to take people on or move the ball? Danny says, Euro was poop. Buck says, 1 game a week, no Europe, more training time, second season to improve. I mean, was it travel from World Cup? Now these players were playing in qualifiers these last couple of weeks. I doubt Everton had a ton of players in World Cup. Boxes, we also had more rest training time after Monday. No excuses at all. Danny does not agree with the red, says it was a yellow. Box says, got a complete tool, but meant very little in the end. Yeah, again, and I think Box, it kind of played into their hands. I think that's just the way that Everton under David Moyes are happy to play. Sit back, and doesn't really make a difference either way. It's just the way they were happy to play. I agree. Maybe it should be a yellow, Danny, but again, the laws of the game say it is a red. So what are you going to do? But again, hesitant and shaky from us. Again, I think it is more of a confidence thing, which maybe was a result of fitness or what. But again, we've seen, second half against Forest, second half against Spurs, the start of that. We just don't look like we're up for it. And it's just more of that throughout 90 minutes last night. And the passing reflected that too. Literally either straight to an opponent or out of touch, again, under no pressure. It just, you could tell we didn't really back ourselves. Again, look at even in the final third, how many touches we were taking. It was like nobody felt confident in anything. So everyone's taken 1, 2 too many touches, which just saw the opportunities fizzle out. We just need to take those shots quicker. We need to move quick. We need to back ourselves in those moments. And don't get me started on second balls, man, because the second ball situation was an absolute shit show. Amorim had thoughts on the lack of intensity, though. Let me show you some of the quotes from what he had to say after the match. This is what he had to say. He said, forget the result. The result is really bad, but I was more concerned by the feeling I had during the game. Everyone should play better today. Frustration, disappointment about the way we play the game. I think we deserve to lose. We didn't play well or with the right intensity. I agree. The most important thing is intensity. You can feel it right now from the start of the match, from the very first minutes. You can tell whether there's intensity or not. And when there isn't, you can't win. Today, it wasn't an individual error. It was the team. When you see the weekend's results, you have to step onto the pitch with a different mindset. So again, kind of saying, like, look at other people dropping results. Like, this was our opportunity to go into top 4, perhaps. And we just didn't look like we cared. We didn't look like we wanted. It doesn't look like we have any intention of trying to get into the top 4 this season whatsoever. It almost looks like these players are like, no, we're good. And finally says, I think we didn't understand the moments of the game during the 90 minutes. That is my fault, that I need to be better to explain the players how to play in every situation of the game. That part, I think I don't know. I read that, and to me, that almost comes across a little sarcastic. Like, that's like me saying, like, oh, I guess I have to explain to the players how to play every single minute of 90 minutes. Like I don't feel like you have to. I don't feel like you should have to explain to a player how to put a shot on target. I don't think you should have to explain to a player how to stay switched on when there's runners, how to put pressure on the ball, how to pass a 10-yard ball to your teammate without it going to an opposition player or out of touch. I don't think you should have to coach those things. I've said this before: defending the back post, putting pressure on the ball, clearing the danger when there's a cross into your box. I don't even think there needs to be coaching in that regard. Like, why should you have to tell 30-year-olds, professional footballers, Premier League footballers, some of these guys have won trophies, major trophies, like, I should have to tell you that stuff? It's like getting to college and expecting your English professor to have to teach you how to construct a sentence. Like, by the time you get there, you should know how to do that shit. That's not my job. So it's a little annoying, and I agree with it, and to some extent. I disagree in others' extent. What are you guys saying here in the chat? Again, my thing is not, for some reason, this platform is shitting itself today. So let's see what you guys are saying. Let me get caught up here. Danny's done with this squad. I have no expectations this season. It's one match. I'm not excusing the performance. I've already said it's unacceptable, but it's one match. And you get your thoughts here. And some of you think, it seems like none of you think it was just a blip. Some of you think it's just normal swings and roundabouts. And then some of you think that the unbeaten run was actually the thing that flattered us. So you getting your thoughts in. Box says amorim toxic. I mean, that's part of the job, right? As managers, you got to be able to kind of talk your way through these situations. You got to find that balance between throwing players under the bus, but not trying to hide from the truth. And I think that that's not easy, especially when English is not your first language. And so we've seen that amorim's words, I think I try to take that into account sometimes, that English is not his native tongue. And so I think sometimes there's a little bit more directness to the way he speaks, but we'll see. Danny says mentality lapse. They're a cowardly squad and manager. You guys are funny. Danny says, no, it's multiple matches. We got lucky against Forest and Spurs. I mean, sometimes it is better lucky than good. I do think we've been playing well. Liverpool, I think, was a really good match. I thought we played really, really well. I thought Sunderland, we obviously played well in that one. I do think that against Forest and Spurs, we showed a mentality that I don't think was there last season. But yesterday was, again, it was like we're a team of extremes right now. It's either like we're really good, really lucky, or we're just, again, like yesterday, where everybody just shit the bed at the same exact time, which you just can't do. You cannot do that. It's unfortunate. And again, it's that lack of intensity that saw like opportunities like this come up. Like, I remember Europa putting in just a very timid little like half-hearted toe poke challenge, and he like falls down, and then DeLitt is about 8 yards away, and he's like, oh shit, now I gotta go put pressure on this ball. Like, I thought it was poor defending. Like, he shouldn't have had that much time and space to get that shot away. I feel bad for Sen and Lamens, because it's like you have to deal with some of that shit in front of you. Euro had an absolute stinker yesterday, in my opinion. And again, he's young. Hopefully he learns from it, but he's gotta look at himself and say, yeah, no, that's not my best day, boss. Amorim made changes at halftime after it became obvious that we needed to change things up. But honestly, what is Mason Mount going to do? What is Diogo Dalot going to do, man? I did think Kavi looked good. I thought he was getting involved. He was causing problems. I do think his ability on the ball is underrated. I just don't think that you get the most out of him when you play him as a 6. I think that if we played a 3-5-2, if we played a 4-3-3, if we played a diamond, playing Kavi in one of those 8 roles is where you're going to get the most out of him. And I think getting him a little bit more higher up the pitch, a little more involved, I think is where you're going to see the best from Kavi. But again, he's not a 6 in this system, so where is he going to fit? I just don't see him fitting. But I do think as the game went on, we got more desperate, which meant we got sloppier. We pretty much also played into their hands by giving away cheap fouls and cheap throw-ins, which allowed more time wasting, which don't get me started on the 4 minutes of added time. I thought that was an absolute piss take from the ref, by the way. There was just 4 minutes alone of Everton wasting time in the second half altogether. It was ridiculous. Let alone the substitutions. It should have been at least 7 minutes. It's bullshit. Like I said in that short, like what happened to this directive that you're going to add on time? Apparently when United are down and need a goal, we just minimal time. It's 4 minutes. Like that's an absolute shit show right there. Someone check that referee's bank account. But again, I don't know what else amorim can do in terms of just intensity and like just completing a simple pass. How do you get Premier League players to compete a pass or put a shot on target? Like there's not much else you can do. Like anyone who's got kids, anyone who's got, like teaches school, like Dylan will test you. It's not as simple as just telling the kids like, hey, do better. Like that's not exactly how it works. Like the kids have to do stuff. The players have to look at themselves because it was a shit show. But it's hard, man. You lose Shesko, you lose Cunha, and look what Amorim's got to work with. I think we have a lot of deadwood we got to clear out. We need some floor raisers on the bench. We need to improve the squad. We need to get guys like Elliot Anderson in here. We do need help for sure. Midfielder, please, in January. But what are you guys saying here in the old Chatteroony here? Let's see. Getting caught up here in the chat. Box says Mbeumo was surprisingly sloppy. Yeah, Mbeumo, he was getting sloppy. He was getting frustrated. I do think that the ref let Tarkowski get away with a little too much. Tarkowski should have seen yellow right off the bat for that late hit on Xerxes personally. But Jim's in the chat. Big up, Jim. Says Amorim will not get anywhere while he's relying on the same 3 players, Bruno, Casemiro, and Shaw. It's time they left the club. I agree it's time they left the club, but let's not – I don't want to pretend like they also haven't been solid going into the international break. I think we can objectively agree that they were very good going into the national break. It doesn't mean that I'm like, yeah, give them all a new contract. Let's build. That's not what I mean at all. But you have to call as you see it. And they were all playing very, very well. Yesterday, everybody just had an absolute horror show. It's just no way around that. Like it is what it is. But big up, Jim. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Box says, I can see why Maguire starts over you. Well, yeah, and again, I think we have to remember, like we've got young players. This is why I don't want us to only sign young players like what Arsenal did under Arteta for the first 5 years. Yoro, Dorgu, these guys are young players. They're not going to know everything right off the bat. They're still physically developing in some ways as well. I think we have to remember that as well. Chat Sports, welcome back. Says since Shesko got injured, United have increased crossing. Shesko plays and there's hardly any crosses. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Like I didn't see the point of putting balls in the box with Mount and Xerxes in there because Xerxes is not a striker. He's not going to get on. We saw yesterday could not put a header on target to save his life. He nearly got one that Pickford, again, fair play to Pickford, got his fingertips to, but that was about it. I don't know what Mount's doing getting on the end of shit in the box, dude, but it was not great yesterday. But yes, on Xerxes moves me on to my next point. Thought number 2, we got a little bit of a Xerxes problem. So let's start just by putting this out there. I think we can all agree Xerxes is not a striker. But again, because we were too slow to get that ball forward, we weren't able to. There were flashes when we were able to kind of get it to him and he's linking up and he's feeding it off to the sides of the runners. Like there were a couple flashes of that, but more often than not, we were too slow to get that ball forward. We allowed Everton to get back in their shape, which of course means you have to resort to putting balls in the box. We needed a striker to get on the end of those crosses, and Xerxes just not that guy. He's not a clinical finisher in the box. He doesn't use his size very, very well. There are opportunities for him to go and win headers, to use his big frame, and he just doesn't do it very frequently. He isn't that guy you look to when you're chasing the game and you need a goal either. I've said, you guys remember I've talked about the academy a couple times, like with Musa replacing Cheeto last year when Cheeto went to the first team. Like we tried to play Musa like we played Cheeto. It just didn't work because he's not the same. It was the same yesterday with Xerxes. He is not Shesko. He is not this target man. But we tried to play him like he was, and it just didn't work very well. It was very frustrating to watch. you have to just, I would have just taken him off and put someone else on. But again, none of that would have mattered anyway because we were playing way too slowly. By the time, it didn't matter who you got on. If we still played the same way, it's going to have the same problem. But if this, I mean, his link up play was decent, like I said. There were a couple of counterattacks where I thought he did well to link up and feed his teammates, but it's just not enough, and it's not good enough. If that's what Xerxes offers in this, it's just not going to work. He's going to have to get sold, unfortunately. I know a couple of weeks back, most of you voted that Xerxes still has a part to play in this team. You're welcome to change your mind. I just don't think he does enough. He's not well-rounded enough. I don't think he offers enough to really make a big difference. I'm not trying to hate on him. I just don't think he does enough. What do you guys think? Box says put Manu and Ugarte in that midfield, 2 versus 11 men, and they get played through as well week in, week out. Yeah. I don't think we have midfielders that are suited to this system. We've talked about that many times, Box, on this channel. We've gone through the list of why they're not going to work. We do need a complete almost midfield overhaul, or Amorim's got to change to a 3-5-2 or something, because otherwise it's just not going to work. Either you change Amorim or, you get players that suit the system better, but it's stick or twist. I think if Amorim wants to get back with more players, he's got to show that he's able to impact these matches, though. Danny says Mount is straight trash. Fox says Xerxes isn't good enough as a 9, 10, or well, don't hate on the 9.5, or otherwise I'm not going to be able to sell any more of those shirts. If you sell Xerxes, I'm going to have to remove that shirt from the United vs. Everybody store, because that was one of my first designs. If you guys remember, it was the OG green and gold, and then it was like the Xerxes shirt. But Fox says Fellaini would better. Hey, don't hate on Fellaini. Fellaini's chest control was a thing of beauty. Chat Sports says, I'd play Xerxes. He's got 0 game time. I just don't know what Xerxes offers other than a little bit of link-up play. He's better with the ball at his feet than he is in the air in the box, but is that what we needed? I just don't get it. Why are we putting in crosses for him then at that point? Should have played it to him, let him be kind of a rebound board and get people around him, but he and Mount were constantly making the same runs, getting in the same space, and neither of them were decent in the air. It's just frustrated, man. Chat Sports says, Ahmad at right wing back, please. Irish Danny says, link up with Poo. Box says, Xerxes had 1,000 minutes since December, 0 goals, 0 assists. Yeah, he was never going to be that guy to get you goals, but the problem is then why did we buy him? What was the point? What was the whole thing behind that under Ten Hag and whatnot? I just don't get what Ineos were all about there. So I don't get that one. But you guys let me know about what you think about Xerxes. I'm going to go on to my third takeaway, you guys. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're subscribing so far, and keep getting involved in that poll. I want to come back to it in a second. This one's going to come across like I'm making excuses. I'm not making excuses. This is me just venting. But number 3, dude, F the international break, man. For real, I'm so done with international breaks. I had a feeling going into this one that there was going to be a chance that this international break was going to completely derail this momentum that we were on. We saw it sort of taper off a little bit towards the end. It did look like the players were getting a little tired, but I thought yesterday from the first whistle, like the players were tired, dude. It just is what it is. I don't know how many players Everton had go on international break besides Pickford, but I do think it's not about fitness or whatever. It's about momentum, and this was a momentum just shaker. We were trying to get these patterns. We were coming on a big run of form. There was a mentality boost. We all saw it. You guys all agreed that for a lot of these matches, there was a mentality shift. We were much better than we would have lost those matches last year. So don't try to backtrack, because you guys all said that as well. And I think the international break just completely derailed it. And like it did ahead of the Manchester Derby early in the season. I'm just tired of it. I mean, there's travel for some of these guys, come in and out of places. Very little training with the first team compared to their teammates. And again, I'm not using an excuse, but it's just more of me getting frustrated with these frequent international breaks and the complete derailing of the end momentum we get. I'm just tired of them. They're a big reason why I couldn't care less about international football in general. I don't care, because I care more about United than I do about the U.S. men's national team. I'm a United fan. I'm not an England fan. I'm not a Portugal fan, a Wales fan, a Netherlands fan. I'm not etc. To me, it's club before country. It is what it is. Now, I get some people, maybe if your national teams are more involved in Euros and World Cups on a regular basis, there's a little bit more into it. I'm a United States, U.S. men's national team doesn't tend to do well. So maybe I'm fully aware that maybe that plays into it, but I'm just done with them, dude. I'm not I'm still not sure how I feel about some of the changes that they're going to be putting in next year regarding international breaks, but I don't think it's going to do anything to change the complete pointlessness of these international breaks. They're so annoying, and I'm so done with them altogether. Um, let's see. Box does not agree. Does not think international breaks had little bearing. It's more, again, I said it. I do think it is a factor. I'm not blaming it for anything. I'm tired of international breaks because it just seems to be like we get some momentum and then we get an international break and it just completely derails. It didn't help, again, that some of the injuries too were killing us. Box says, we're just fragile, fairly average playing squad with average manager, little spine, little intensity, little cojones, limited technique. Yeah, it did look like we lacked a little common sense yesterday. Like, it seemed common sense should have said, hey, let's move the ball just a little bit quicker, get that ball forward, maybe play a little bit more long balls, maybe play a little sooner. Like, it just didn't. Again, was that tactical or was that just the players being tired or lack of confidence? Because right now I could go either way on that one. Chat says a Palace game will be rough. Yeah, Palace is going to be rough, dude. I was at a Palace match at Old Trafford a couple years back, and Palace are not an easy side to play, especially now under Glasner with some of these guys they've got. I mean, yes, they keep losing players, but Glasner's handled it pretty well. I mean, we'll see what happens. You almost wish it was like maybe later on in January that we were playing Palace. Maybe they would have lost Gay or something, but whatever you're going to do. Danny says, overall international does, but yesterday break wasn't the cause. No, again, I'm saying it wasn't the cause. I'm not blaming anything on international break. I'm just annoyed with international breaks, and it's frustrating, and I don't like that. It's less about yesterday's result and more about just we were on a really good run of form, and then the international break popped up, and it seems like that happens to us a lot. I'm not blaming anything international break. I'm just saying I don't like the fact that it completely derailed our momentum. Super, super annoying to deal with. But let's see. Oh, yeah, Champions League today right now. I know the under-21s kicked off against Solihull Moors at 2. I know Montato opened the scoring in that one. Let me go check and see what that one was real quick. Make sure you guys are getting your likes in. Make sure. Oh, shoot. Solihull Moors came back to win that one 4-1. So we scored 34th minute for Montato, and then they just went on an absolute tear for the next 10 minutes. Well, that's what happens when you've got kids playing against grown men. So, yeah, Champions League going on right now. Currently, Chelsea 1-0 up against 10-man Barcelona, who lost Ronald Araujo. Interesting. Newcastle beating Marseille at the moment. Interesting. We got the big matches tomorrow. We'll be watching Arsenal Bayern Munich for sure. Box says, I'd like a midweek Conference League type fixture that we could stat pad with after a league defeat. Well, we could have, Carabao Cup and whatnot, but we decided to shit the bed on that one. I mean, speaking of, we had a chance to go 5th or even 4th, honestly, after this one. And we just completely decided to just throw that away. It just seems like we're actively trying to not qualify because we're 10th now. This was supposed to be the start of the easiest run of fixtures that we had, but we have Palace next, which again could be another loss. Definitely will be another loss if we play anywhere near the way we played yesterday. That's not going to happen. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe Casemiro is going to be suspended for the Palace match. I think he picked up too many yellows. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say we will not see Casemiro. Thankfully, silver linings, right? 2nd place through 13th place. Still pretty tight on points. I think it's literally a 6-point swing between 2nd and 13th. And so it's not all doom and gloom. I think that's part of why I'm why is everyone just doing videos on Amorim out and I just don't get it. But it is what it is. Y'all are entitled to your own opinions, but we definitely can't play like that again. Or I think what Amorim said about his fears about last year repeating itself, I think that will become a reality if we keep this up because it's going to kill us. And it's not getting any better. We've got Palace next. AFCON's going to hurt us as well. We saw what just happened, just losing Chesko and just Cunha for a match. Look at what happened. I don't know if our players are tired or what, but that can't happen again. Literally cannot happen again. I know we're probably going to lose more matches. It is what it is. But that performance, that just complete shit show performance, that cannot happen again. I hope that there's a plan for AFCON. I hope there's a plan for when FA Cup rolls around. And if that plan involves new signings, get it done now. So I want these players in by January 1st. I don't want any more of this Dorgu last weekend of the January window nonsense, the same we saw in the summer as well. Get it done now get it agreed so that player can walk right in January 1st and start playing, because otherwise it shows me that Ineos do not quite see the necessity of and the dire situation that we find ourselves in. I put out that poll for midfielders, for instance, the other day. Got 36 votes so far, so keep getting your votes in. So far, you guys, I said you get one realistic center midfield signing in January. Who you bring in United? So Conor Gallagher at 35 million pounds got 22% of the votes. João Gomez and Ruben Neves are currently splitting with 39% each. João Gomez is reportedly available for 44 million. Ruben Neves available reportedly for 17 million. So seems like that's who you guys are voting for at the moment. But you guys can keep going back and vote on that one. So let me see who's involved in the chat. So Stephanie's in the house. Big up, Stephanie. Yeah, sorry, I can't put the chats on the screen. For some reason, my streaming platform decided to just shit the bed. So let's see. Jim says if the team can't keep the momentum up for 2 weeks, they're more weak-minded than we thought. Yeah, and that it could just be that simple. I'm trying to go off what we've seen from them this season. And again, a lot of you guys agreed that we don't win the Forest, or we lose the Forest and the Spurs match if this was the last season. So a lot of us agreed that we have seen a shift. For some reason, again, it takes a while. And again, maybe this is me more from the mental health perspective. When you've got bad habits, when you've got patterns of behavior, that takes a while. And you'll notice, like, you'll think you're doing better. You think you're like moved on or whatever. You think you've gotten rid of some of those bad behaviors. All it takes is one sort of crisis, and you would be surprised at how easy it is to just go right back into those bad habits again. That's kind of what I saw from us yesterday. The same bad habits from the same players that we thought we were past. Bruno kind of running all over the place. Casemiro playing stupid balls, like Euro sloppy passing, poor finishing. We thought, okay, mentality, the lack of confidence. We thought we were past that. Still work to be done. So whether that's signing new players, whether that's just these players just need to fucking wake up, I don't know, man. But big up, Stephanie. Good to see you again. Danny does not think we're making top 6. Chat says, do you think Amorim is watching Chelsea now? They're playing a team with 10 men. I mean, again, team with 10 men is not always the same. It is notoriously a little more difficult to play against 10 men because more often than not, those 10 men sides just park the bus. David Moyes always parks the bus, and so you really couldn't tell the difference between them having 10 men or not because they were playing the same exact way no matter what. And we played into their hands by playing too slow and just letting them get back into their shape. Box says Moyes hadn't won at Old Trafford as an opponent for like 20 years. Well, we do love to give the gifts. It is the giving season. We're giving out gifts, so might as well. Oh, is it the 4th yellow for Cass? All right, so you guys corrected me. I thought he was suspended for some reason, but big up, you guys. Thank you for correcting me. But we'll verify. So, because I thought he got 4 yellows and then he got a red. Do they just get rid of the other yellow? Then does it no longer count as a yellow if it was upgraded to a red for a second yellow? Let me know. Those are the kind of intricacies that I can't remember off the top of my head sometimes. Box give me an upgrade. It is City 0, Leverkusen 2. Patrick Schick. Patrick Schick's another one that I forgot to mention the other day, who I liked for a while. As that kind of profile of striker too. So now Marseille are up 2-1. Big up. Nice. Stevie says, United have Munoz, Wharton, and Mateta playing for us next week, and we win the 3-4-3 derby. Yeah, it's going to be a big ask. Obviously, we'll preview that one. I think it's a really early kickoff. At least it is for me. It's 7 a.m. kickoff for me this weekend. So we'll preview that one a little later on this week. Maybe, I don't know what matches are going on Saturday, but I think that's a Sunday 7 a.m. game. So that'll be fun, but we'll see what happens, you guys. But again, get involved in the polls. Let's see where you guys are at on the poll that I put up today. 18% of you think that this was just a one-off blip, and that maybe we'll just keep going. 64% of you think that the unbeaten run we were on before the break was a bit flattering, and today was maybe a little bit more getting back to regressing to the mean, as we call it. And 18% of you think, okay, this is the season doing its swing and roundabouts thing. You're going to lose some. You're going to go on a bit of a run. It's just going to happen. So good to know what you guys think. Thank you for doing that poll. Make sure to like the video, please. If you haven't yet done so, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you have a couple moments, jump on your phone, go hype a couple of the old streams. That really does help the channel a lot. Consider looking at memberships as well. I know some people jump in with super chats and stuff. The memberships are also a good way to contribute to the channel. Not only does it help the channel grow, it helps you guys get more involved. There's a WhatsApp group. You get involved in like the scouting reports and whatnot too. And then there is a link in the video, in the pin to the chat, that for the United vs. Everybody store, there is some new designs popping up all the time. So go check that out as well. None of it goes to the Glazers. It's super cheap, one of a kind gear. I know the Cantona, the King Cantona one, those are moving pretty quick. I'm actually pretty surprised, but people like those. So get yourself one. Again, I don't have like boxes of them sitting here. It's all print on demand. So I don't think they're going to run out anytime soon, but go check them out. So yeah, Danny, Amorim does like breaking records, but hopefully, the players in Amorim have a long chat about this. Amorim needs to look at himself, because I think there were opportunities for him to impact that game a little differently, make a little different subs, I think, in my opinion, maybe get them playing faster. The players obviously have a lot to answer for yesterday. They were poor in the final third. They were poor defensively. They were poor on the ball. There was a weak mentality in 1v1s, lack of resilience yesterday. And I do think that, again, these are the kind of matches that Amorim has really got to show me something. How do you play against Park the Bus 10-man side? It's going to make it difficult. How are you going to respond to that? You can't use injuries as an excuse. It is a factor, because I don't think we have the depth. And you saw that how many times throughout the last several years we see the form drop when we lose a player or two, but we've got to do better. That's the manager's job. Manage is also a verb. So figure it out, you guys. But thank you guys for stopping by today. Make sure to get involved in the polls on the community tab. Always check the community tab. There's tons of stuff in there. But until next time, I will see you guys later this week. I've got a scouting report special ready for you as well. And then obviously we'll do that preview for the Crystal Palace match, because what's today? Tuesday? Today is just Tuesday. So, but big up, you guys. Thank you for stopping by. As always, I appreciate you guys getting involved. Take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your day. And if you're traveling for holidays, if you live in the States, safe travels. Enjoy your time. And I will see you guys on the next one.